guys, welcome back to Geeks Wargaming, and this is match day 4 of the UKBBL League Season 33. So today it is my Chaos Dwarves versus Vampires, so a team that I don't think we've seen on the channel yet. Quite an interesting team. They've got high agility and high strength on the Vampires, and then you have the Thralls, which are these guys. Which are like a human lineman, but they've got less armour. They're actually armour 7, so they are quite squishy. And there is a mechanic for the vampires. They get, I think it's called Bloodlust. So you have to make a roll before you do anything with them. If you roll a 1, then you have to go and bite the neck of one of the thralls. Otherwise you run off the pitch into the crowd to feed on the crowd instead. So my opponent has got 1, 2, 3 vampires by the looks of it, which is pretty standard for this team value. I think I'm not massively up with vampires, but I think 4 is probably the maximum that you want in your roster. He has leveled them up quite a bit though. So this one has the additional skill of dodge, this one has the additional skill of block, and this one has mighty blow, block, and I think that's leader. Pro. So pro is allowing you to re-roll one of your own actions, so he's got that because of the bloodlust. So I'm just lining up to punch some thralls. The tactic that I try and adopt with vampires is to remove the thralls. It just makes it harder for the vampires to move and plan moves. That helps out. Immediately he's 1 down. And yes, vampires can badly hurt their own players by biting their necks. They have to be very gentle. If you are interested in seeing what vampires can do, check out Andy Davo's channel, friend of the show. He's a very good Blood Bowl player, a lot better than me, and he had a very successful season in the Champions League. Champions Ladder, sorry, with vampires. He got them all the way to, I think it was the semi-finals. So very good. They are an interesting team. I do quite like the idea of vampires, but they are one of the higher levels. They're one of the lower tier teams, but you need a lot higher skill cap to actually get the most out of them. But with a strength 4, agility 4 player, movement 6, armor value 8, and with hypnotic gaze as well, they are a very good player. So they can do some great things. Don't bother re-rolling that, because the ball isn't under any threat at all yet. It's well protected, nobody can run down, get there. So immediately we see a bloodlust. And so he's managed to stun his player again. So the hypnotic gaze there just removes this player's tackle zones until I activate him in my turn. Just gives him more free movement. I don't think... right. So, this game, the team value of this vampire team was quite a lot higher than mine. It looks like it was at least 200,000 higher than mine. So, I've got a wizard and I've got some babes. So to help me to recover from any knockouts, and then the wizard for the fireball or the lightning bolt. with all the hypnotic gaze and the agility 4, vampires can cut through your line quite easily. So the lightning bolt will definitely be good for me. So as we saw in my last game, I'm trying to do as many blitzes as possible with my claw piece on the high value targets, which are the vampires in this respect. And a 1 dice block there was risked and paid off, knowing that the vampires could just cut through my lines and pick up that ball if they wanted to quite easy. And just building the cage. And Alex Ferguson is injured, so he will not be playing any part in the game. My opponent has got quite a deep bench, so attrition isn't going to come in quite as much. Managed to tie up the star vampire over here. I think that was the same vampire as last time that bloodlusted, and that was some very, very ballsy dice rolls there. That was an awful lot of dodges. He did re-roll the bloodlust as well, so he couldn't re-roll any of the dodges. Managed to get through and blitz my ball carrier, but fortunately didn't knock him down. Most of his team is on this side, so I'm trying to rotate round this side of the pitch. And again, another frawl off the pitch. I decide to re-roll that because it's a good thing to be punching, and I've got a few turns. Fortunately, you get the skull there, which isn't good. That does leave this cage fairly exposed. Can hypno-gaze this and get a blitz off quite easily now. Which is what we're going to see here. Only manages to knock down the ball carrier. I remember this game being quite frustrating to start off with, because there was lots of things like that happening. Me having quite a well protected ball, and then it suddenly being on the floor because vampires hypno-gazing, dodging and blitzing. Another useful armor break. Blitzing the vampire. Just try and do as much damage as possible. Knockdown would have been really useful there. Managed to knock this vampire down. So go for the pickup and move into the safety, or the relative safety of that cage. Not ideal because it has got a vampire base in it, and a vampire is a stronger player, so there is a very strong chance that that player will be knocked down, and then this one can dodge in and punch the ball carrier again. but it was the safest possible place at that point. Surprised my opponent didn't do that. So as I said, they could have punched here, and then I guess it would have been a 1-die, but so yeah, again, it's my favourite time. It's vampire punching time. Armour is holding out for them though. Had to risk the 1-die there, but it's on a an unskilled lineman, so it wasn't terrible. Claw did a thing. And I can now run up relatively safely. Screening off. This vampire can reasonably easy get through. Particularly with a hypno gaze, which is what he's going to be attempting. That one doesn't know though. Again, knocks down the ball carrier. It's quite hard to actually see the potential hypnotic gazes when you're actually playing the game. When you're watching it back, I'm sure I've said this before, you can always see sort of the errors that you make. So you think that, okay, this is screened off quite well, but then actually it's not screened off at all when you're able to remove tackle zones. I'm pretty sure the hypnotic gaze is based on the agility of the player that you're attempting to do it to. So with my dwarfs being low agility, it's reasonably easy. So just putting as much coverage on the ball as possible. I couldn't really effectively blitz that guy away to then pick up the ball, so I've decided just to sort of box it in as much as possible. His vampires are actually quite separated from the thrall. So he has got 4 vampires. Well, I'm pretty sure he only had 3. So the ball is now free to pick up. Claw piece is coming for the blitz. And managed to get him. I would have used the reroll there if needed. And now I'm pretty much out of range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. reason why I used the reroll there is because of the amount of turns that are left. You may as well have done it. That is unlucky. Old Vlad managing to put himself down. There's a surf on here. Should be rude not to take. Typically get the both down result though, eh? Just run in for the score. Those guys aren't getting back up. One of the KOs gets back, so he has now got no bench. So any more injuries or KOs could affect the amount of players that you can put on the field next turn. Just doing my standard setup for a turn 8, just putting my high value players at the back. I have left these up here because he hasn't really got many with kill skills other than this one mighty blow, and I'm gambling that I can take a punch from a mighty blow because armor 9 is pretty tricky. Unfortunately, with the setup I went for, Blitz doesn't really help. Plus, I couldn't have actually scored, so I decided not to use it at all. On a Blitz, you can't use the ones on the line of scrimmage anyway, so... What was I saying about that mighty blow hit? We're looking at a gang foul. Very rude. But that was a good in return. So he gets sent off and I only get stunned. So happy with that. Especially with it being half time now. So he's definitely not got any bench, and my guy comes back. I also kept the claw piece off for that last setup, put a hobgoblin on, because throw a rock seems to have this amazing accuracy. Amazing accuracy for killing your best players, and he is currently my best player. One thing we did gain on Baltar was he has actually now got the block skill, because he picked up 10 SPP in the last game, which is very useful. Quite an odd setup by my opponent. He's obviously setting up mainly on one side. A bribe is very nice, because it's what hobgoblins are born to do. Foul. Equally, he can foul mine, but failure on the pro there. He's making his intentions clear though. He wants to try and screen off down here and score quite quickly by the looks of it. He's got the agility to do it, definitely. See a handoff here. So just tagging his screen, so it's going to struggle to run down. His vampire can't score next turn. He can get close. I've still got a wizard in the bank as well, so I can use that if necessary. But now I can run up and tag the ball carrier. Moving the ball centaur back to help with any recovery. I'm not sure if my opponent meant to maybe blitz there, but he didn't. And he's got a ball centaur standing right next to his ball carrier, which is not ideal. However, that's not bad, is it? And the injury. Miss next game. Use the apothecary. It's a miss next game or a miss next game. So I'm guessing he's missing next game. Poor Baruch. I think Baruch got cast like that in the last game, didn't he? Surfed to an injury. Must give him stand firm. That's the lesson to learn, I think, there, isn't it? Cheeky arm break there. Going for the elf screen. Tying up the back of the cage. I'm potentially thinking about the fireball there, I'd say. 2 vampires, but Didn't go for it in the end. So my opponent's decided to reposition. Risky dodge. That would have been a 4 up there. Punished for it. So my opponent can't immediately score. So I'm just trying to shore up the defence a little bit, get some punches in, make it a, a nice brick wall for him to try and walk around, and hopefully get some attrition in the long run. Punching a vampire always feels good. This is the reach of a bull centaur. The double skulls wasn't great, but hypno gazes are starting to fail, as are the pro rolls. He's trying to break a hole in the line, which he's done there, so the ball carrier can now potato down. This is now one of these turns where do you use the wizard? Because I'm going to struggle to get that. I think I decide to come round with this hobgoblin potentially. Just put a hurting on everything. I think I might have decided to let's see how much damage I can do, and then if at the end of the turn I need to use the wizard, then let's use the wizard potentially. Could have used it at the start of the turn, but the recovery option wasn't really there, so he could have just picked it up with this one, even if this one had been removed. So we're going for a 1-die blitz here with the hobgoblin, I would guess. 30 fails it. It was a long shot. Because I failed on a turnover, I couldn't use the wizard there. So we're looking at a score for the equaliser. He's managed to get him away. So he can just run in for the score now. It was a 2+ to score that one, really. If he'd failed the bloodlust, then he wouldn't have been able to score that turn. He would have had to bite the thrall's neck or use a reroll. Still plenty of turns for me to actually come back a bit. Does manage to get his vampire back, but the thralls are looking a little bit thin on the ground. What's he got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's got 9 players on the pitch. And only 5 thralls. Get an extra reroll. Ball has landed pretty safe, and it's in the right direction for me. Get rid of a vampire. Very useful. Danny Drink, I think he's been out for most of the game. Going for the foul because I've got a bribe. Pretty sure we'll see a sneaky kick in the nuts. Have to use the bribe though. First foul all game. And there we go, we have a secure ball. So failed bloodlust. And that's useful for me, knocking out his own players. This is the negative trait coming into play for me there, to my advantage. Just punching some soft targets with Mighty Blow. Yeah. Mighty Blow actually made that the KO there, so very useful for him. Another bloodlust, but he did actually re-roll that one. So he's committed quite heavily over here, so I'm guessing I'd move my cage over this way. And I might punch somebody with claw first. Because it'd be a shame if something was to happen to him, wouldn't it? But no. And the ball is on the move. And as I said, most of his team is out of position. Risked the 1 die there and managed to actually get really lucky and injure a player. Immediately followed by a double skull though, which never feels good unless your opponent does it. So we've got 2 turns left. I'm in a fairly decent position. Opponent managed to roll a 1 there on the Hypno Gaze, so that's useful for me. I've still got a tackle zone, so he's not going to be able to tag the ball carrier very easily. Just tagging the vampires forcing them to roll dice. I think we'll see a blitz from the ball centaur on this guy, and then sort of a screen or a cage being built up here. So use the wizard there to, with two of the players, he could easily sort of, you know, do the blitz and get round and do a hypno gaze and then potentially blitz the ball carrier. So I thought if I lightning bolt one, that's a mighty blow hit for free, which would mean that he couldn't touch the ball carrier. Unfortunately, the lightning bolt didn't really do anything, but then fortunately, as we've just seen, he did fail the dodge, which meant that I could just run the ball in quite nicely. And that was on turn 16. So there we have it. That was the end of the game, the last turn of the game there. Giving me the score. Probably was a little bit fortunate on that last turn. I don't think I played fantastically in that game, but still managed to get the win against a lot higher value team. So the SPP, it was a good spread of SPP for both teams really. So Brody obviously got looks like a Kaz and the score. Baruch got the MVP, I'd say. He got the MVP. And then two Chaos Dwarfs here with Kaz, and then a score on a Hobgoblin. And a few SPP over there. Statistics, I had a lot more of the ball possession, 25 to 43. I succeeded in a lot more blocks. He probably had slightly better rolls on the on the KOs. Was slightly more fortunate in that respect with the amount of blocks, but obviously I got more injuries and he didn't get any from blocks, just the one from the surf. Okay, so that's game 4 out of the way. That is 2 losses and 2 wins, so I'm starting to move up the table. Unfortunately, because this season is over, I can't show you what the league table looked like at this point, but I think I'm probably just off the bottom, starting to creep up up the table. So hopefully you enjoyed that, guys. There'll be another game again at some point next week. So remember to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and click the notification bell so you don't miss that game. Drop us a like and a comment if you like this, and I'll see you in the next one.